Hi everyone and welcome to OCD Live. I'm Greymond. So let's get to some questions. So the question first that I had, just one second. Okay. Okay. So the first question here is, how do you deal with OCD when it starts making you doubt that you're only saying it's OCD because of what other people think, and you think you're lying to yourself? So first of all, everybody who has OCD thinks they're lying to themselves when they refuse to believe OCD. So if all the time you're paying attention to OCD, you're saying, okay, this is important, let me do some compulsions, let me think some more about it. And then all of a sudden you stop doing that and you start to just say, I'm not paying attention to it, like what you're supposed to be doing to recover, you will feel like a fraud. You will feel like you're doing something wrong. You will feel like, well, what if it's true and all of this kind of stuff. This is because your mind is very focused on this particular problem. So it's focused on believing that this thing is real, and it reacts to these thoughts as if they're real. So it sees that, okay, for example, you get some sort of an OCD trigger, right? Immediately it's gonna give you all of the thoughts as if the situation is real. So it's gonna give you, well, this must be real because this and this, you know? And it's your job to not pay attention to it. Because the more you pay attention, the worse it's going to be and the more real it's going to feel. So basically, you just have to disregard. There's not much else you can do but to disregard the thoughts, and disregard the doubts and disregard the feelings and everything that comes along with OCD. Because right now, your mind really thinks that the thought is true. So because you've been conditioning it from before and basically making it believe that it's true by doing the compulsions. So now it does think it's true. So now every little thing is going to feel like, okay, well, this means that it's true. Okay, well, that means that it's true. It's going to all give you that kind of impression because your mind is hyper focused on it. So you can't believe any of it. You just have to keep going, move on through it, and just really disregard it. Like there's no really other way to get through it other than to disregard these thoughts. Because the more you pay attention to it, the more you take it seriously, the worse it's going to get. See, this is the one thing with OCD is that, unfortunately, there is no such a thing as maintaining OCD where, well, it's been like this, for years or whatever. It's been like this for years, but at the same time, it's getting progressively worse. So unless you're one of those people that you're, taking one step forward, one step back, like sometimes you refuse the compulsion and sometimes you don't, then at least you're staying kind of the same. But most of the time, people give into compulsions more and more and more as time goes on, and then it becomes worse and worse. And the compulsion doesn't mean necessarily like hand washing or something like that. It's also like emotional compulsions, meaning that you have to analyze the thought, trying to solve it, asking people, doing all of these things, all of like everything to figure out if the thought is true. So the more you do these compulsions, it's like the more you're telling your mind that the situation is real, and the more your mind is going to start throwing these thoughts at you. So it's the reason why your mind is sending you thoughts right now has to do with the past, okay? It has to do with the fact that before you were saying that the thought is true to your mind by engaging in compulsions, so it believed that it's true, and now it's acting based on that past experience that, in the past you thought that it was true, so it's acting as if it's true now, okay? So how it's acting now is because of the past. How it's going to act in the future is based on what you do now. So it's very important for you to stop doing all of these things that you're doing to keep it going. Because if you have OCD, I had OCD, so if you guys don't know, if you're kind of new to the show and everything, that I had OCD. So I'm not just kind of talking. I know from which I speak. I know what I'm talking about, you know. It's right now you can change how you're gonna feel in the future, you know. And the more you pay attention to this thought now, the worse it's gonna be for you day 2, 3 days from now. Because you're conditioning your mind. You're always conditioning your mind regardless of what you're doing. And right now you're conditioning your mind that this thought is important. So of course your mind's going to be like, oh, it's important. Let me send you more of this same important thought. And then, you know, you're going to be wondering, well, why is my mind sending me this thought again and again? Well, just because you're keeping it there. You know, if you had a thought about a red balloon and you completely kind of immersed yourself in it, you would think about it all the time. It's the same thing where, well, it's not the same thing, but it's similar to when you have a commercial that plays over and over in your head, like a catchy jingle, you know, and then you remember, you're like, you know, kind of going through your day and keep going in your mind, and it just randomly starts coming up for you, and you're not even kind of thinking about it, and randomly it just comes up for you every once in a while, you know. And it's the same type of thing, that like your mind is seeing, okay, well, the person is likes it, or in the commercial case, right, like an advertisement case, right, that the person likes the jingle, let's send more. Or in the OCD case, the person is scared of this thought, let's send more. Because it's only bringing stuff to your mind that's important. It wouldn't, your mind's job is to keep you safe and keep you going, basically, you know. So it's only bringing stuff to your attention, to the front of your mind, that's important. It's not gonna bring, you don't get like random unimportant thoughts. Even if you do, you forget about them, you know, because again, you're not focusing your attention. But the reason why you have this specific OCD thought is because um because to you it matters the most. Whatever you're worried about, that's what matters the most to you. So if you have, for example, like a cheating OCD or a relationship OCD of some sort, this means that your relationship right now is the most important thing to you. Yeah. If, say, for example, career was the most important thing to you, even if you're in a relationship, right? The career is the more important than the relationship to you. If you have OCD, you're gonna worry about the career, not about the relationship, because, or maybe sometimes about the relationship, but most of the time about the career, because OCD always attaches to what is the most precious to you. And the reason why your brain does this, it's not trying to, you know, hurt you. It's not trying to work against you. It's doing this because your mind sees that this particular thing in your life is extremely important, no matter what it is for you. Like, actually, for real is important, like on a personal level, right? So it sees that attachment as, you need to make sure that if anything, this is the one thing that's for sure safe in your life. So it starts to guard it to an extreme level, and really look out for things that can potentially hurt it, and just sending you all possibilities that can hurt. Say, for example, if you're worried about the relationship, right? It's gonna send you all kinds of thoughts about, like, that have to do with relationships, you know, and see kind of what sticks. So it's gonna give you, well, what about this? And you don't pay attention. What about that? And you don't pay attention. And says, well, what about this one thing? And you're like, oh my God, this could be true. And you start to really freak out, you know? So that's the thing, is that you have to understand where the thought, what's the reason why you're having this particular thought? Where is it coming from? And what you can do to fix it. Because you can't fix the situation when you understand how OCD works. I'm telling you from talking to a lot of people, from having OCD myself, from helping people, it's all of this is the same thing for everybody. The thoughts might be different, but the recovery process is exactly the same. And no matter how long you've been suffering with this, you can recover. Because it's not about really like the length of time that you suffered with, as much as it is of what you're doing right now. So I have, for example, like in my recovery program, I have people who have been doing, had OCD for years, and just decide that, you know what, right now, that's it. I'm done. You know, like, this is, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm moving on, I'm going to get over this, and they progress really fast in the recovery. And I have people who had OCD only for a few weeks, and they really, really struggle because, they can't really get it together. They're not able to push through that situation of the fear. It's like it's got them, it's gripping them, and it's hard to push through. So it all kind of depends on your determination, and how much you can kind of refuse the fear, because that's all OCD has to grab onto you by, is the fear. If you take the fear away, it's there's nothing left. If you tell your mind every day that this situation, say for example again about the relationships, right, that this has to do with my relationships, my OCD always has to do with the relationship. Anything that has to do with the relationship from now on, I am not paying attention to. I don't care what it tells me. I am choosing to not pay attention to this. And really strongly kind of going over, each situation with that mindset, right? Maybe going over it is not the right term, but really viewing it through that lens that, oh, it has to do with my relationship? Okay, see ya, I'm moving on, and not allowing it to kind of grip you. Because when you first get a new thought, it's a lot easier to let go of it and then to, worry about this for, say, hours or days or whatever, and then let go of it. When you've already thought of all the possibilities, when you've already added up all of these things that, like, well, I remember this, or I remember that, or I was thinking this, or what if this happens? Because you have to disregard all of this other stuff as well at that point. And it's not that you can't, it's just that it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But obviously, when you come into the situation of that's what it is, you've already kind of thought about it. Now what you have to do is say no more. Right now, in the present time, right this second, you are building your future. So how you're viewing OCD thought now is how it's going to happen, what's going to happen in the future. So if you're refusing to pay attention to it now, in the future, it's not going to bother you. If you choose to pay attention to it now, in the future, it's going to bother you. It's really that simple of a mechanism. And, it's not really rocket science when it comes to overcoming OCD. It's more like kind of like a really everyday kind of going about your life with the outlook that you have to recover. It's just a lot of work that needs to put in. And that's when I say that, when people email me about the recovery program, I always say, be ready for hard work, because I can help you and I can be there for you when you're struggling, right? And it really does help having somebody there, especially somebody who knows about it. But if you can't, afford the program, you don't want to do the program, whatever, just having somebody there who is like willing to be there, and it's a commitment. It's not really like a, well, this person is my friend, so they'll be there for you. They'll be there for you for the first day or week or month, but then they'll get sick of it, to be honest with you. So having there, like actually talking to somebody and saying, I need help, I'm doing this, this is what I need to do, explaining to them how OCD works, and saying that, you need to be, can you be there for me, like that, unconditionally, and all of this, and they don't have to, because that's the thing is too, that you have to really watch your surroundings, because whoever this person is that you're getting help from, and this could be a therapist, this could be your family member, if you choose to do my recovery program, whoever, this person cannot give you reassurance in any way, because reassurance only gets you in deeper. And you have to be clear that, first of all, you shouldn't be asking for reassurance. But if you have a weak moment, and we've all had those moments, and you do ask for reassurance, you have to make sure that the person does not give you reassurance. Because that's only going to make it worse. And they have to be strong in that way, because sometimes it's difficult not to give the person reassurance because, they love you, they care about you, um, they don't want to see you suffer, so they just want to tell you, like, listen, this is not true, But at the same time, it's not about it being true or not. It's about you overthinking the situation and just starting a new OCD basically, because your OCD moves on from topic to topic. Even if you have the exact same theme, you're worried about this, then you're worried about that. So it always changes. So it's not really about the particular topic you're having this day. It's more about what you're doing to keep these types of topics on your general theme of OCD going. So it's attaching to little things, but what is the overall bottom line? Just like we talked earlier, for example, the overall bottom line is relationships. So anything that has to do with relationship is false because, like when it comes to OCD thoughts, because you've had these thoughts for a long time. Has anything happened? Has anything come true? No. All of these are just thoughts, and they really kind of, they're gonna keep coming until you stop them. So until you say no more, they're gonna keep coming. So, and again, once you do say no more, and once you're able to kind of break through that door and take that leap of faith, because in the beginning that's what it is. It's kind of like a leap of faith because you don't know, like for sure you don't know that the thought is false. Do you know what I mean? Like you logically but you still feel like the thought is true. So in that moment, you kind of feel that that you're choosing to disregard the thought, but you're not sure about it. Okay, and I know that because I've had OCD as well, right? That but you have to just take that leap of faith, and once you do, your mind is going to start throwing all kinds of thoughts at you, because your mind wants you to be safe, and now it thinks you're being unsafe. So as it thinks you're being unsafe, it's going to send you a lot of thoughts to try to get you back to the safety. So it's going to try to get you back to doing what's right, to doing what you're supposed to be doing. But your mind is confused. So what it thinks you're supposed to be doing is not what you really should be doing, because it thinks you're supposed to be protecting yourself. So it's going to try to get you to protect yourself by really any means that it can possibly give you. So more scary thoughts, scarier thoughts, all of this other stuff. So when you do take the leap of faith, when you do break through the door, you have to be ready for a fight. And basically, and again, all you have to do is just keep telling your mind that this is not true. I'm keeping going with it. I'm not paying any more attention to it. I'm moving on. And the more you do that, the more you will feel in control, and the more you will feel like, okay, these are just thoughts. So basically, it's just about not paying attention to OCD, about moving on, and about disregarding your feelings. And I know right now, like the person that was contacting me, they're having a really hard time. And it looks like you are already very close to kind of taking the leap of faith and going through it, because you already feel like that. Like, what if you're lying to yourself? That's like the back end of the spike, where you have to take the leap of faith and do what OCD doesn't want you to do, meaning like disregard thoughts and all of this. And once you do that, it's going to send you, well, what if you're wrong? Well, what if this and what if that? So if I'm wrong, and when it turns out that I'm wrong, then I will deal with it. And before that, I'm not going to deal with it. I'm telling you, in all of my practice, I've never seen one person be wrong. And this is not to give you reassurance, but just to give you real facts that, like, this is what it is. There's no reason for you not to go through these situations, and not to, basically, because what you're doing right now, like, if you let go of these thoughts, this is normal behavior. to let go of these thoughts and to kind of take a leap of faith is something that everybody kind of does normally, people who don't have OCD. And you as well, right? Like, for example, if you're worried about relationships, you're not worried about, I don't know, some sort of a contamination OCD, getting some sort of an incurable disease or something like that. It's not to say that, there's no way you could get an incurable disease. We're kind of all kind of walking like this, not being, 100% sure, but you're not looking into the details that deeply. But with this situation, you are, and that's what's causing the problem, So staying away from the situation emotionally, detaching emotionally, and then saying, you know what, if it turns out to be true, then I will deal with it. But I'm not going to spend every waking moment of my life dealing with it, not even knowing that it's anything real, and having all the proof in the world from before that nothing happened or whatever, depending on your situation that you're worried about. So when you have proof of something, then you'll try to figure it out. Real proof, not like OCD proof of like, well, this kind of adds up but kind of doesn't add up. So and that's the thing, and just emotionally detaching from it, moving on. I'm telling you, this really works. But you do, like, the first week is very difficult because your mind really starts to throw all kinds of thoughts at you to get you to react. So you just have to kind of be very, very cautious of that and really be paying attention to what's happening. So I hope this kind of helps you guys. My door is always open. You can email me at info@youhaveocd.com. If you go to youhaveocd.com, there's books available there. There's a recovery program. There's also a lot of free information there as well. If you'd like to ask me a question privately, info@youhaveocd.com. That's only for me. I only see those emails, so it's not like people are watching what you're writing or anything like that. And I hope you enjoyed the show. I don't have any more questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the chat. If not, then I guess we'll wrap it up, and then I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Let's give it a second here just to make sure. By the way, if you guys email me to info@youhaveocd.com and you have a question for me, please label it clearly whether you want it for the live chat, like for the OCD Q&A, or do you want me to just answer privately? Because I can do either or, but I do suggest for you to allow me to ask to reply to your question on the OCD live, because most people have the same questions or very, very similar questions, and I'm not going to, obviously divulge any like private personal details, but it really helps for other people to hear the question and hear the response, because, I might not be able to come up with every possible question everybody can have, and, it's just beneficial for everybody to know, okay, well, this person's having the exact same thoughts, and, as me, and this is, the answer and all of that. So anyways, thanks you guys for watching, and I'll see you next Wednesday.